Here I am, 4 a.m. on 4chan on New Year's Day. I guess it's story time. Maybe someone will give a shit. 2009. I'm an average high schooler, 16 years old, and I'm a virgin. Part-time job at the grocery store. Mostly interested in video games, web browsing, and playing guitar. School life is pretty normal as well, decent grades all around. I have this friend, let's call her Stella. She's 1 year younger than me, and she's been my best friend for years, since I was in kindergarten basically. She's a smart kid, so she skipped a grade. She's in the same year as me, and a level higher. High schools where I live have different difficulty grades based on your intelligence. She's doing the top level, and I'm doing the smart, but lazy level. She's a bit small for her age, a bit of a late bloomer one would say, though she never grew taller than 4'11". Didn't really see her as anything more than my best friend. We played video games together, read books together, played music together in our shitty band. She's pretty plain looking, blonde hair, brown eyes, short, though young looking. She got bullied for that a lot. Plays the piano very well. She got lessons from the same woman that taught me guitar. Valentine's Day rolls around. I have a crush on a girl that's way out of my league, so I gave that girl a rose. There's a service at our school that allows you to buy people roses, anonymous or not. Being the dumb teen I was, I never really thought much of the roses I got. I only ever got one or two anonymous ones. It wasn't uncommon for the popular kids to get like dozens, though it might have just been those guys giving each other roses to look cool in retrospect, since some of them were not very popular with the girls at all. Get absolutely shot down by the pretty girl. Can't even remember her name, to be honest. Talked to Stella about my 2 roses, asking her if she got any. She didn't get one. She seems pretty okay. She was a quiet kid, never said much, a real wallflower. Pour my heart out about the pretty thought that shot me down. Pretty upset about it despite not knowing her at all. Stella comforts me. Don't worry, Anon. I'm sure there are girls that like you. You got 2 roses after all. Feel a little bad about whining to her since she didn't get any. Didn't you get any roses, Stella? I ask her like a retard. No, I never got any. I'm not really that special, she answers me, and I notice how she looks a bit sad. I would have bought you one, but don't you think that's kind of weird? I tell her, mainly because I felt bad for her, realized in that moment that one of those roses might be Stella's. She gives me a weak smile. I appreciate the thought, but you really don't have to. Things are a bit awkward now. Lots of quiet moments, and we're just sitting together after school. Most of the kids have gone home already. I offer to hang out at my place like we do sometimes, but she declines. Fast forward a couple of hours, I'm home and behind my laptop, mainly just dicking around on MSN. Notice her status. It's a bit more dramatic than usual. Just a sad smiley. Emojis weren't a thing back then, thankfully. Ding her on MSN and talk to her for a bit. She seems a little down at the dumps. One of her female friends shoots me a message. Asks me why I hang out with Stella so much. Tell her we've been friends for years and it's always been like that. She asks me if I like Stella. Another complete mind blow for my underdeveloped teenage mind. I start asking myself questions. Do I like Stella? Think about it for a bit. It's Valentine's Day. Stella didn't get any roses and seems a bit upset. Her friend asks me this out of the blue. Teenage brain working overtime to connect the dots. Get the idea that Stella might like me, despite never even thinking about such a thing. Was that why she hung out with me so much? Start writing Stella a message. Stella, I'm sorry I didn't send... Delete the message. What am I doing? Am I doing this because I want to help my friend feel better, or am I doing this because I like her? Think about her for a bit. She's not bad looking, just a bit underdeveloped. Her face was kind of cute, you could say, even though her hair was kind of messy and her clothing was pretty uncool. Her parents were pretty poor. This is relevant later. Imagine myself together with Stella. Imagine my friends making fun of me. They always joked about us being a couple, and I was always embarrassed about it like a dumb teen. My heart thumping in my chest like a fucking madman, like I'm making the most important decision of my life. Type her a new message. Stella, I want to talk to you. Can we meet at the playground near your house? She replies almost instantly. Yes, okay. Grab my Aprilia RS50 that I bought from all my supermarket money and race over to her place. It's cold as fuck outside. Didn't think the meeting place through too well. Find Stella sitting on a swing as I arrive. She looks happy to see me. Hey, I say, taking a seat on the other swing. Hey, she nods back, looking in front of her. Notice that there's no one on the streets. It's just us and a cold wind at like 8 p.m. in a playground. Notice she's shivering a little. I'm cold as fuck as well, but I offer her my hoodie that I was wearing under my jacket. She takes it and puts it on. She seems to have a big smile on her face. I'm the most unromantic teen ever though, so I blurt out, "Stella, do you like me?" And she freezes up. We awkwardly stare out in front of ourselves. I'm freezing my nuts off in the cold. Why am I asking Stella, the most socially awkward girl I know, such a loaded question out of the blue? My imagination runs wild, and I imagine all the shit she'll be saying to me, like, "No, we're just friends," and maybe even, "I don't want to be friends anymore." This quiet lasts like 3 minutes, but to me it felt like half an hour. Just as I was about to speak up, she says, "Yes." Freeze up myself. I didn't actually expect her to say yes. Never had a girlfriend before in my life aside from some elementary school drama 1 week relationships. More awkward silence, but a bit shorter this time, since it's my turn to say something. I can see tears welling up in Stella's eyes as I look over to her. She must be expecting me to turn her down, but I quickly blurt out, "I like you too, Stella." More quiet. Two socially retarded teenagers freezing in the February cold in that fucking playground. "So, now what?" I say, after about a minute. We both stare at each other. She giggles through her tears. It's kind of cute and funny. It makes me laugh in turn, just because of how awkward and retarded the whole situation was. We both laugh for a good while. I'm shivering at this point, and I get up off the swing. I'm a pretty tall guy, so I basically tower over Stella as I stand in front of her, sitting down. She hops off of the swing and hugs me. I hug her back. We stay like that for what feels like another half hour. I ask like the retarded, unromantic idiot I am, "Can I kiss you?" "Yeah," she says with a smile. The most awkward lip kiss scene in the history of cringy teen relationships. All sorts of weird feelings coursing through me, but mostly a good feeling though. Said something along the lines of, "Wow, that was amazing. Can we do it again?" I hate myself now just remembering this cringe fest. She laughs and says yes, and we kiss again. This is my first kiss, so I'm inexperienced as fuck. I end up pushing my tongue against her lips and forcing it inside of her mouth. She's a bit of a sweet tooth, so I can taste some candy she ate earlier. It feels so weird. I'd never kissed a girl before, and it was super awkward. We both were a little uncomfortable at this and stopped after a few seconds. I enjoyed it though. "So, I guess we're like boyfriend and girlfriend now?" I ask, still a bit confused. Stella just nods and smiles. I haven't seen her this happy in quite a while. We part ways and go home, freezing to death on my bike as I race home, but I don't care. I have a girlfriend. The first thing I do when I get home is post on 4chan about getting a girlfriend. Get called a faggot, a liar, and get comments like, "Congratulations, we don't care." Disappointed at the time, but thinking back on it, it was just cringy and retarded of me to do. Basically just like anything 16-year-old me did. I text Stella until deep into the night before falling asleep. The next day at school, we don't really talk much. We sit together at lunch and just eat our foods, trying to make awkward small talk. It's quite obvious we aren't really used to the idea of being a couple yet. Despite that, we both feel happy just to be in each other's company. I tell my friends later that day about my relationship. They act like this was not news and they knew all along. At the time, I legitimately thought that they were just taking the piss. Looking back though, we were basically always like that, except without the awkward as fuck kissing and the relationship. It isn't until about a week later that we're confident enough to hold hands in public. We kind of become a stealthy couple that people speculate about, but no one knows for sure. I wonder in retrospect why so many people cared, since Stella was just a bullied quiet kid and I was just a generic guy, not really one of the popular kids. Notice that people start treating me nicer. Girls are talking to me in class and guys want to hang out with me more. Stella told me she was getting teased less now. Overall, pretty good feels. Our schedule is pretty chill. We hung out every evening after I finished work. Her house was closer than mine, so it was easier for me to get to her house and chill there. I'm very good with parents, so they instantly took a liking to me. She has an older sister too. She's taller, arguably prettier, and extremely chill. The entire family was better than my own, in the way that they were all interacting with each other and having fun together. Despite being poor, they still had a ton of fun. Was actually surprised to learn that Stella, her sister, and her sister's boyfriend play Smash on the N64 quite a lot. I never really owned Smash on N64. I mostly played Melee, but I loved playing with the four of us. We spent many evenings watching Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Avatar: The Last Airbender, and stuff like that together. At home, my dad always cooked. No exceptions. At her place, everyone had to cook once a week. I was added to this roster without my consent. Forced to cook stuff on Fridays, but zero cooking experience. Since I work at a supermarket, I usually just brought frozen pizza and cooked them in the oven. Around this time, I figured out why Stella was so tiny. She's pretty malnourished. When her parents and her sister weren't home, she sometimes just straight up skipped dinner. I don't know if that was out of laziness or because there was nothing to cook, though. Either way, her family is very chill with me. Let me up in Stella's bedroom, no problem if we wanted to chill together. Mostly, we just played double dash and cuddled or made out. About 2 months into our relationship, cuddling and kissing turned into feeling each other up. My first time seeing or touching her breasts was like 10 minutes before I absolutely had to go home. My parents are very Christian and wouldn't approve of me staying over. Her parents actually didn't mind and were chill as fuck about it. She barely has any tits. She's pretty much flat chested, but they are still there. They're soft and warm, and when I pressed my ear directly to her chest, I could feel her warmth and her heartbeat. Best feeling ever. I massaged her breasts for a while, wishing to myself and cursing myself that I didn't do this sooner, before I had to leave. She tells me to go home before my parents murder me. It's almost 3 a.m. She walks with me to the front door and hugs me from behind. I am so madly in love with this girl. Turn and kiss her. I actually really like our height difference. It's cute to me that she has to get up on her tippy toes just to kiss me. Make out for about 5 minutes before finally leaving. Literally cheering on my bike on the way home, right into my helmet, fogging it up. So happy I finally got to touch breasts. Learned my lesson. Didn't post about it on 4chan to avoid being called a faggot and a liar. Also realized this was probably a private, intimate experience that I shouldn't share with anyone. Too late for that now, I guess. Get home and fall asleep a satisfied man. Feel like I have grown as a person by kissing and playing with the flat chest tits. From here on, our relationship got juicier whenever we were alone together. A week later, we have our first time. My dick is a bit above average in size, and Stella is a bit below average in size. I had zero experience with sex. Legit couldn't find the hole. She had to help me guide it in with her hand, and I felt really embarrassed. She probably wasn't wet enough when we did it. It caused her a lot of pain and soreness, and she bled a lot too from me popping her hymen. Sex didn't feel that good because she was dry inside. We both felt pretty shitty afterwards. We talk about it the next day, and both agree sex isn't as good as some people make it out to be, and that it's just overhyped. Of course, being the horny teenagers we were at the time, we ended up doing it again. This time, I was a little better at it. It actually felt great for me, but despite it being a lot better for Stella, I would still hurt her if I was a little too rough or went a bit too deep. Slowly grew more adept to sex. Before the end of the month, I was a sex god in my own book. I really wasn't, but at least I wasn't hurting her anymore. A few weeks passed and I spent my first night actually staying over at Stella's. I lied to my parents about staying over at my best friend's who covered for me. Once again, thank you, Stella's parents. You are actual GOAT parents. Her parents greet me the next morning as if it's nothing unusual. Granted, they have an older daughter and she's had a boyfriend for a while, so maybe it was just normal to them by now. It's almost summer now. Being the retardedly in love teen couple we were, we spent all of it together. Every single day. No exceptions except for maybe like 5 minutes where I hung out with my friends. Meanwhile, I've only brought home Stella to my house about 4 times. They didn't like her very much as a result, maybe because they knew I was having sex with her. Actually, definitely. My mom said something about it at some point, I think. We used to go to the cinema every week or so. Then, one day, when we were going laser gaming with a group of friends, she thought I said, "I loved you," when I saw her and shot at her. Can't really remember if I actually did say that, but that's what she heard. That night in bed, she told me she loved me. That was a big deal. We never actually told each other we loved each other. I didn't say it back immediately because I was shocked. She's almost crying, looking at me like I just did something horrible. Tell her I love her too, but look a bit confused. She accuses me of not being sure about loving her. Explained that I was just shocked because it was the first time she ever said it to me. She gets mad and tells me I told her first during laser gaming. Legitimately confused, asked her what she means. She might be small and quite a wallflower, but by the gods, do not anger this little lady. She starts yelling at me, hitting my chest and telling me I'm an asshole. Tell her I really do love her, pin her down and kiss her. She calms down. Honestly, she could get so upset over these kind of things. It's endearing, but yeah. I started becoming better at Smash 64, consistently beating Stella, her sister, and the sister's boyfriend. Let's call them Sasha and Tommy from now on. Notice Stella getting visibly upset about the fact she can't beat me as easily anymore. One of her more childish but cute traits. But she legit got so angry she wailed on me and broke one of the controllers in her autistic fit. From now on, decide to take it easier on her sometimes and let her gloat when she beats me. I think she's legitimately the most passionate Smash 64 player, but not the best. Either way, a lot of stories happened between this and now. We went to Comic-Con, we played at prom with our band, I bought her a silver bracelet with a heart, I discovered my hoodie from all those months ago in her closet and she insisted on keeping it, summer picnics, all that jazz. Genuinely a great year. I've decided not to share these stories, it'd take too long and maybe it's not really something you guys want to hear. New Year's Eve. Probably why I'm sharing this thread now. It's one of my most vivid memories, I suppose. Stella is 16 now. She's grown a bit since we started dating. Most notably, her cup size went up. She was a bit of a late bloomer after all. No complaints here. Still deeply in love. Inseparable couple. Man, I kind of don't want to share this, almost. It's just deeply personal. It feels weird. Anyway, we're at my place. My room is in the attic, and I have a large window looking up to the sky. My bed is directly under it. It's just past New Year, and we wished everyone a Happy New Year and everything before going upstairs. We lie in bed together, holding hands, staring up at the sky. It's pretty clear. There is snow on the roof and on the streets, but I cleaned my window off so we could look up. We watched the fireworks together, kissing, cuddling, whispering sweet nothings. I'm one of those nerds that records music I play together with my band and listens to it. I have that running in the background. We covered Use Somebody by Kings of Leon, and that was playing. A classmate of mine was singing. I was on the bass guitar, and Stella was on the piano. One of the best moments of my life. We had sex on my bed for the first time. We never actually dared to have sex at my place because of my parents. If they found out, we'd be fucked figuratively as well. Magical scene. It wasn't about lust. It was just pure love. I love her so much. We fall asleep together while fireworks are still going, probably about 2 a.m. Wake up the next day and panic. We're both still naked and there was no second mattress on the floor to trick my parents into thinking she slept on the floor. Quickly make a makeshift bed on my couch. My parents bought it. Never got in trouble, but got some extremely suspicious stares from my mom. She knew, probably. Managed to evade trouble once again. Let's fast forward a little bit. Fast forwarding to avoid an overly long story. I'll give you the short version of the events. Eventually, Stella wasn't bullied about her height anymore at all. Kids grow older and stop being as mean to people, I suppose. I quit working at the supermarket and took up a job at several electronics stores promoting Intel CPUs and helping customers pick the laptop that best fit their needs, and also try to upsell for extra shekels. We both graduate. I graduate a year earlier since I'm only doing the lazy people high school level and she's doing the try-hard one. I go to college, studying business IT and management because I didn't really know what else to do. Stella ends up going for the conservatory, pursuing her piano skills. She was always better at playing music than I, or any of our bandmates were. I think my singer classmate still sings in a choir, though. Fast forwarding to 2014, and I just finished college. Got a decent job at a growing startup company after completing an internship and getting my degree there. Make a decent living now. Buy a small house with Stella. We've been together for 5 years now, and it's been a wild ride. Her aggressive, childish side has simmered down a bit. She's now more calm and collected, a little less shy, too. Still a quiet girl, though, and still often mistaken for a high schooler, despite being 20 years old. We still go to the movies together, play Smash and Mario Kart often. However, things are a bit different now. She's pregnant, 2 months in, don't want her to drop out of uni. Honestly, she could easily finish her education. Her grades were top tier. We're not sure if we're ready for this baby. Debating abortion. I'm not against it, but it feels wrong talking about killing an unborn baby. We have a long argument over it. I'm hesitant. I'm only 22 at this point, and not really ready to be a dad. Stella wants the baby, even if it means dropping out of uni. Legit feel sick to my stomach about becoming a dad. Worry about Stella too. She's a petite woman. Having a kid seems dangerous with a figure like hers. Think about it for a long time, and have trouble sleeping. End up falling asleep and dreaming about a life with Stella and the baby. In my dream, the baby is a boy, kind of like Stella. Cute, blonde, aggressive, but with some of my traits. Bad humor, green eyes, more patience than his mother. I wake up crying. I tell Stella I want to keep the baby, even if it means I have to work to support all three of us. She starts crying, and I start crying. We cuddle for hours. In the middle of the night, eventually fall back asleep. Tell Tommy the next morning about my talk with Ella. He went through something similar with Sasha, but they ended up aborting. Tommy and Sasha both are driven by their careers. Tommy is running his own company in IT while Sasha is making clothes, has her own brand and web shop where people order custom-made clothing. Tell him we've decided to keep the baby. He cheers us on and promises not to tell Sasha. He slipped up later, causing another explosion of Stella anger since she wanted to tell her sister. Months pass and Stella's belly grows. We're getting close to the exciting part. The baby is almost coming. I feel kind of cool imagining we made a human. It's time. Stella's having contractions and I drive her to the hospital. She gives birth to a healthy baby girl. I don't feel disappointed about it not being a boy, and instantly feel love for our baby girl. She has a ton of hair already, brown like mine. Had to take her to a hairdresser when she was just a week old. She had that much hair. Feel insanely happy, indescribable feeling having a kid. My baby girl, let's call her Lizette, fits in with our new family nicely. My mom is absolutely obsessed with her, wants to babysit her all the time. Actually got in a fight with Stella over the amount of time she wanted to keep her all to herself. Meanwhile at work, I'm planning to start a sister company to the one that I'm working at. A load of work is added to my usual workload. A new website, setting up the company, thinking of business strategies, thinking of hiring employees or interns, getting clients, etc. Stella drops out of uni to be a full-time mom, with a work-at-home job designing websites and doing Photoshop. Actually makes a decent living off of that by herself. About a year and a half passes. The baby is a big part of our lives, but thanks to my overly zealous mom, we can afford to go out every once in a while and leave Lizette with her. Her first words are, "Dada." It fucking kills me inside. I'm so happy. At night in bed, Stella mopes about her first words not being mama, a glimpse of her competitive brattiness emerging. She learns to take steps. Potty training, watching TV, so many cute memories with Lizette, all recorded on our phones. Stella is a happy mom, a happy wife. Overall, a happy person, always. Even before we dated, she was smiling. One week, I started noticing she didn't smile as much, and her eyes looked like she had been crying. I asked her what was wrong. She says it's nothing, and puts on her smile again. At the time, I thought maybe it was hormones. She was a bit weird sometimes during that time of the month. I wasn't around too much because of my work. My 40-hour work week had slowly evolved into an 80-hour work week thanks to my new company. I didn't see Lizette much either, mostly in the weekend. Whenever I came home from work, she'd already be asleep, and I woke up sooner than she did most days to go to work. One day at work, I receive a call. "Hello, is this Mr. Anon?" I'm a bit confused. "Yeah, how can I help you?" "Your girlfriend has been in an accident. She's in the hospital." I make a break for it. Run out of my client, tell them it's an emergency, break all the speed limits rushing towards the hospital, rush towards the receptionist, incoherently scream at her in tears. They somehow manage to bring me to Stella's room. She's hooked up to a million different things. IV in her arm, breathing tube in her nose, and she's unconscious. Start asking for explanations. None of the doctors really know what happened. All they know is Stella collapsed at the mall while Lizette was with my mom. She's not in critical condition, fortunately, but no one knows what's wrong yet. Wait in the hospital for like 2 days, sleep on the couch, barely eat, completely fucked my life upside down. My mom takes care of Lizette while I'm here, worried sick. Doctors trying to explain everything to me, but words just aren't coming through. Apparently, she passed out from a wrong combination of drugs and hit her head on the way down. It takes her a full week to wake up, a full week in which I could not bear to come to work. She wakes up, and I cry my eyes out. She cries. She tells me about how she's been taking different kinds of antidepressants and other drugs to calm her mind. The stress and feeling of being alone brought her to this. I realize it's my fault. Take a hiatus while Stella recovers, stay home with her for an extended time, end up selling my company and taking a 32-hour-a-week job. Stella does recover, but feels guilty about almost leaving us behind. Notice things become less lighthearted around the family for a long time. Stella sometimes cries, even if things are alright. She's diagnosed with clinical depression, gets on proper meds. Fast forward to now. Lizette is a healthy young girl, growing up fast, and I love her more than anything. Stella is still with me, but things are just not the same as they once were. Stella is absent, mentally, not her usual bratty self anymore. She's friendly, docile, kind, but I miss the spark of life she always had. I still love her, loads. She's my everything. I'm never ever going to leave her, but the feeling I have this night, after putting my little one to bed and seeing Stella asleep, I can't say she's still herself anymore. It's like something changed that day. Some part of her died, and I miss it so much. Does that make me selfish? I'm not unhappy with her. I'm not mad at her. I just feel like something messed me up inside after that week, that recovery process. I'm not as happy as I was before it happened. I still see Stella cry sometimes, and I know it's because of her depression, and I know it's not my fault. She's told me that a million times, but I somehow feel responsible for this. I feel like I could have avoided it if I just spent a little more time with her, if I just didn't work as much back then. Maybe things could be different. I'm sorry if this wasn't the story you were hoping for. Maybe. I'm sorry if you wanted a happy or satisfying end, but this is the middle of the road for me. I still have my life ahead of me. I still have to think about Lisette's future and Stella's, but it's hard. I just wanted to vent this. So thanks for listening, Anons. Happy New Year.